so. On our campus, you'll see, as you can see on the screen now, some of the beautiful old Victorian buildings right alongside some of the newer buildings that house some of the most up-to-date learning facilities that are available for students in the UK. Manchester is a historic university as well, so it's where lots of the, particularly the scientific firsts of the 20th century in particular started. So it was at the University of Manchester where Ernest Rutherford split the atom, and the first computer was invented at the University of Manchester. We've got 25 Nobel Prize winners on our past and current faculty and student body. And more recently, just kind of continuing the tradition of cutting edge scientific developments, we've got 2 faculty members who were critical in the development of a material called graphene. And if you haven't heard of graphene yet, you will do over the coming decade or so. Graphene is a material that's 1 atom thick, and it's the lightest material that's ever been discovered. And thinking is that it will revolutionize material science in the coming years. And your mobile phone will be as light as a sheet of paper. Aircraft fuselage will be built from graphene rather than aluminium, so they'll be much lighter. So all that work is going on at the university at the moment. We're ranked internationally as number 35 in the world and number 5 in the UK. So you should expect that it will be quite a serious academic experience on our programme. So the study abroad programme itself, as I said before, we have about 1,000 students a year that do a period of study abroad or exchange with us. We offer programmes for a single semester, so either the fall or the spring, or for the full academic year from September to June. We can also accommodate students who need to do a January to January calendar year, although that's less common for students from the US, but it is possible if that works best in their calendar. Which is the best semester for students to choose is really determined by the semester in which we run the course units that you need or want to take, because our course units run in one semester or the other rather than being repeated in both semesters. There is a longer break in the spring semester, so we have a 3-week break at Easter, which is a great opportunity for students who want to travel around Europe, for example, for a more extended period. To be eligible for the study abroad or exchange programme, students must have a minimum cumulative GPA of 3.0 or better, and we do enforce that GPA requirement quite strictly, so you must make sure you have a B average or a 3.0. All students that are doing the programme with us must take either 50 or 60 UK credits per semester, and that usually transfers back to between 15 and 18 US credits as an equivalence. And most of our course units, in fact probably 90% of our course units, carry either 10 or 20 UK credits. So from our point of view, the important thing is the number of credits that you take, but we do want to make sure that all students discuss with their home university whether they have a requirement for a minimum number of courses to be taken. And if there is a home university requirement, for example, for a student to take 4 courses while they're abroad, then you just need to make sure that you adjust your course load so that you're meeting our credit requirement as well as your home university's course requirement. We operate an entirely pick and mix programme for study abroad and exchange students. So unlike the British students that you'll make friends with who are doing a full degree with us and who all take their courses related to a single subject area, study abroad and exchange students can pick and mix across multiple subject areas. And application for our programme is done through a student's home university, whether they're applying to us on an exchange basis or a fee-paying study abroad basis. So that's usually important for the transfer of credit at the end of the programme of study. So you apply through your home university first, and then only after being accepted by your home university do you apply directly to Manchester through our online application. If a student's applying to us on an exchange basis, so from one of our reciprocal exchange partners, which Wellesley College is, then those students continue to pay tuition to Wellesley, whilst a Manchester student continues to pay their tuition to Manchester, and the two students just swap places. So there's no tuition fees payable to Manchester by an exchange student. If you're applying through another institution, another college or university in Massachusetts, who we don't have a reciprocal exchange with, tuition fees are payable to Manchester, but the way that that works depends on how your home university structure the payment of fees. So in some cases, so students who are at Smith College, for example, it may be that Smith ask you to continue paying Smith tuition and Smith pay Manchester's tuition on your behalf. Whereas at some other institutions, it might be that you stop paying your home university completely and just pay Manchester directly instead. So the fees, they can work in a lot of different ways that we negotiate with your home university. I won't go through these in any detail, you can just see them on the screen. These are the subject areas that we have available for study abroad and exchange students. It's quicker for me to tell you the subject areas we don't offer provision in, and that's predominantly journalism, media studies, sports and fine art. So we don't have majors in those. There are some subject areas like business, for example, where you can pick up communication type courses, but we don't offer specialisms in journalism or media. Particularly strong disciplines at the University of Manchester are physics, geography, computer science, economics, business, history and English. So students who are studying with us for a semester or year, there's a huge amount . Have general central support available for students as well.
Stephanie, could you repeat that, because the audio went out for this slide?
Yeah, sure. So we have different levels of support available for study abroad students. I work in the International Programmes Office, which is the first port of call for students. So any kind of general questions, students can come to us and we can signpost out to more specialised services if needed. Otherwise, we can support students with, with the general queries. We also have academics who are available for academic support. So each subject area has a nominated academic called a visiting student officer, who's the academic who can support study abroad and exchange students with any academic problems or queries that they have. And then we also have central university support services that all study abroad and exchange students can link into. So things like the Disability Advisory Support Service, the Counselling Service, welfare officers and so on. We can also arrange an airport collection service for students when they arrive in Manchester in the fall semester. In the spring semester, we don't have the same collection service. It's purely because of economies of scale. So in September, we have thousands of international students arriving. So we offer the coach collection, whereas in January, it's only study abroad and exchange students who are arriving internationally, brand new. So there's only probably about 400 or 500 in January. So it's purely an economies of scale thing. We do, however, have staff at the airport in January to signpost students for the onward travel to campus. We run an orientation programme for students whichever semester they're joining us in. So that's, you know, we go through all kinds of things like where to get a mobile phone from, where the nearest supermarket is, how to register with health services and those kind of things. So we do that for students no matter the semester of entry. In our halls of residence, we have staff who live with students, not in the same flats, but they live in the same blocks as students. They're called the Res Life team. So they're a really good source of pastoral and welfare support for students who need it in the hall of residence or more broadly with their university experience. We also have a visa team available on campus. So any students who want visa advice, you know, about working in the UK, that kind of thing, they're available all year round to advise students. We recommend that all study abroad and exchange students join the International Society, which is, actually an independent organisation that's based in Manchester. They have about 3,000 members a year. The best thing about them is that they organise trips and excursions all around the UK every weekend really cheaply. So it's a really good way to get to see more of the country. And they also run lots of social events during the week as well. So afternoon teas and pub quizzes and language support. So if you, for example, as a study abroad student coming to Manchester, thought that you might like to learn French, they can pair you up with a native French speaker so that you can get to learn conversational French completely apart from your academic programme of study. We also run a mentor scheme called a Global Friends scheme where we match incoming study abroad and exchange students to a Manchester degree student who studied abroad themselves in the previous year. And we put you in touch with each other before you even leave the US. So at least when you arrive in Manchester, you do know one other student at least, and you can usually get to know people in their friendship group through that scheme as well. All study abroad and exchange students are fully registered University of Manchester students whilst they're on programme, so you can join any student union clubs and societies, any athletics union clubs. So if you like a particular sport, it's a really great way to meet people through their clubs and societies. And as I said before, you can make use of central welfare services like the counselling service and disability advice. We don't mandate that all study abroad and exchange students live in university housing, but we do strongly recommend it. We've never had a case where a study abroad or exchange student hasn't got University of Manchester housing if they want it, and we don't anticipate there's going to be any change to that in the near future. We don't have international house, so we don't house international students separately and all together. You would be completely dispersed with British students. You may well live with some other international students, but it's just because we have so many of them, not because we design it so that they live together. We, as I say, we recommend that you opt for university housing. We don't have any room shares either. So all students have their own individual bedroom. Usually somewhere between 7 and 9 individual bedrooms are grouped together in what we call a flat, like an apartment. So you'll get to know those other 7 or 8 students very well. The furthest away from campus that you could possibly be housed is about a 25-30 minute walk. It takes about 7 or 8 minutes on the bus. So even the furthest away you could be is relatively close to campus. Students can opt for catered or self-catered or uncatered residences. One thing I will just mention at this point is catered, where meals are provided for you, is in no way comparable to a US meal plan. So in the US, if you're on a meal plan, it might be that you get like points on a swipe card that you can redeem at any food outlet, anywhere on campus, any time of day or night. In the UK, a catered residence is residence-based meals, and they're served between set times in the morning and set times in the evening. So if you miss it, you've missed that meal. You don't kind of get a refund if you miss it. You don't get the points banked up to use at a different outlet at a different time of the day. So it's quite restrictive, to be honest. So we tend to find that most US students opt for self-catered. Self-catered residences are slightly cheaper as well, but it does mean that you can cook for yourself, and all flats have kitchens to enable you to do that. Applying for housing is a separate online application process that students will do after they've submitted their main application to our programme and been accepted onto that. So the City of Manchester is, it's a big city by UK standards, but it is all relative. You know, if you've got students whose home city is Los Angeles or Seoul or somewhere like that, the city will feel very small. But we're actually probably the 2nd or 3rd biggest city in the UK after London and possibly Birmingham. But it's a very young, very dynamic, multicultural, cosmopolitan city. There are about 85,000 students in the city, so everywhere is geared up for student discounts, and it is a relatively inexpensive city to live in anyway. There are about 2.5 million people in the Greater Manchester area in total, and over 40 different languages are spoken in the city. It's a very welcoming, very tolerant, very accepting city. So minority students find that it's a really good fit for them because they will always be able to find like-minded people in such a tolerant city. It's very famous for sport. Obviously, we have Manchester United that are known around the world. Very famous for music as well. So lots of very well-known bands are from Manchester, and there's the most amazing live music scene in the city with, you know, lots of tiny little venues where bands who are just starting out play, right up to the huge arenas where really, you know, internationally famous musicians have their concerts. Our university is located about half a mile from what you might consider downtown Manchester city centre. So the city will play a huge role in the life of any exchange and study abroad student. The cost of living is much lower than in lots of cities in the south of England in particular. So it is a very affordable city for students to live in. Very much cafe culture. You know, you walk out on the streets, there's loads of restaurants and bars and cafes and museums and theatres and galleries and so on. So a very cultural city as well. This map just visually shows where we're located. So we're virtually right in the middle of the geographic island of Great Britain. It takes just over 2 hours to get from Manchester to London on the train, and there are fast trains between the two cities every 20 to 30 minutes. So about just over 2 hours to get to London. It takes about 4 hours to get up to Edinburgh on the train, just because we have high speed trains between Manchester and the capital, but it's a normal speed train up to Edinburgh. Our campus is about 15 minutes away from Manchester Airport, and we are about 30 minutes away from what's known as an area of outstanding natural beauty called the Peak District. So any students that like hiking, climbing, walking, rambling, those kind of things, it's about a 30-minute journey to the Peak District. And we're about 45 minutes away from the nearest beach as well. So this just visually shows you where our university campus is located in relation to the city centre. We're, as you can see, very close. We butt right up to the city centre, so that will very much play a part in students' lives whilst they're with us. So, as I touched on briefly, as an institution, we're probably a good fit for students who want a serious academic experience. We're a good fit for students who want an urban experience. As you can see, we're not a greenfield campus by any means. So a student that wants an urban experience, we're a good fit for. It's a good fit for students who have a degree of flexibility in their programme of study. And the reason I say that is that usually our timetabling information isn't released until September. So if we've got students joining the programme who have very fixed course units that they have to take, that can sometimes be an issue when timetables are released in September and 2 mandatory course units that they've got to take are run at the same time. So really it is a better fit for students who have an element of flexibility in their programme. A great fit for minority students, as I've mentioned. There's so many different faiths and beliefs and religions and political views and all kinds of different the whole range of different diverse opinions that students might have. There's usually, they can find like-minded people. A great fit again for students who like music and sport. A tricky fit sometimes for final year students, and the reason for that is that there's a slight misalignment of dates between the UK semesters and US semesters. So if we have a senior, a final year US student who joins us in the first semester of their final year, their official transcript isn't released until July, August of the following year. So it could potentially mean that they miss the opportunity to walk their graduation ceremony with the rest of the year. So that's just one for students to discuss with their home advisors if they are in their final year. Just some information on screen about our website and some other useful links to the university more general, and my contact details are on screen as well. So anybody is welcome to email me directly if they do have any follow-up questions as a result of watching the presentation today. But that, I think, so that takes us to the end of the session. So I'll just hand back to Jennifer in case there's any closing remarks.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. I really want to go there myself now. I've never had such a comprehensive overview of the program. So this is really helpful for me, and I know it will be helpful for students who watch the recording afterwards.
I should just mention actually that under normal circumstances, there are 1 million flights a day between the east coast of the US and Manchester. They are obviously restricted at the moment, but we're hopeful that it looks as if it's going to be the end of November that flights might resume. And you can get direct flights from Boston to Manchester, or there are flights from Newark, JFK, Philadelphia, Chicago, Atlanta, Washington, DC. So if students' home city is further afield, there are lots of direct flights when they eventually resume at the end of the year.
Great. Well, thank you so much. It was so great to see you. I'm sorry to not see you at our fair this year, but I wouldn't have gotten so much information just passing by the table. So
Yeah, no, I miss being there in person, but always happy to do virtual events as well.
great. Okay. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Jennifer. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye for now.